Hello, everybody. Very good evening. So, we are back with your training on the psychotherapies, and the topic that we are going to cover in this session is humanistic therapy. We'll be beginning with it within few seconds so that our other participants are able to join, and then we'll begin soon. By that time, I would like to know about all of you who have joined for this workshop right now. So, in the live chat, you can mention to me about you. Think about yourself. Like your name, maybe a profession, or what interests you toward this workshop today, anything like that. In the live chat, you can write that down. Okay, so it's time and we'll be moving ahead with it now. All right. So, a little bit about myself before we begin with this training. I'm a counseling psychologist and a relationship counselor by profession. And I'm also a healer by passion, so I deal in Reiki healing and tarot card reading. And I've been helping and mentoring more than 15,000 individuals till date now regarding how to cope up with stress and anxiety in life, how to overcome your problems, and also on how can you enhance your behavior and deal with your own issues by yourself. So, before we begin with humanistic therapies now, I would like to know that what is your understanding of humanistic therapy? What is it all about, and what's that we are covering when we talk about humanistic therapy in psychology? Is it to positivity? Okay, and self development? Okay, so humanistic therapies are one of the most positive approaches which is used in the field of psychology. And it says that humanistic therapies focus on self development and your growth in life. So, you must be knowing that we have a lot of more therapies in psychology, right? We talk about psychoanalysis, there is cognitive behavior therapy, there is behavior therapy, there is a lot of more approaches like that. And similarly, the humanistic approach of psychology believes in your own growth. So it says that you are yourself enough to deal with your problems. You are capable of overcoming issues in your life by yourself, and you can do that the moment you analyze your strength and confidence. That's why this is one of my personal favorite, I would say, therapies, because this makes you realize your own potential, but how well can you cope up with issues in your life. And that's why this therapy focuses on the here and now. Okay, so this therapy majorly works on the present situations in your life. It doesn't deal with much in past, what all wrong happened, what is there in your unconscious mind. No. Humanistic therapies majorly work on the here and now. अभी आपके साथ क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है और आप उसे कैसे सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. This is the major fundamental or the phenomenon behind humanistic therapy. Now, to trace a little bit to how it evolved, the humanistic approach developed as a rebellion against what some psychologists called as the behaviorist and the psychodynamic, because they usually work on the fundamentals that there is something wrong in the past which is creating an issue for you in the present, right? जैसे साइकोएनालिसिस कहता है कि आपके अनकॉन्शियस माइंड में जो चीज़ें स्टोर्ड हैं वो आपको लाइफ में कुछ कुछ करने से रोक रहे हैं, and that's why you're having some problem today in life. But humanistic therapy came up as the exact opposite of it, and hence it was called as the third force, which is something very different and very new in psychology. And now, who can tell me that who is the father of humanistic psychology? You can use the chat box with me to write down your answers. Who is known to be the father of humanistic psychology? Absolutely, that's Maslow. Abraham Maslow is known to be the father of humanistic psychology. He also termed it as the third force, and he believes that this approach incorporates the aspects of both behavioral psychology and psychoanalytic psychology. So Master believe that it's a wholesome, complete, evolving approach जो आपको लाइफ में एक अच्छी डायरेक्शन देता है, जो पॉजिटिविटी की तरफ आपको ड्राइव करता है एंड रियली हेल्प्स यू टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम वेयर द इश्यूज आर कमिंग एंड हाउ टू क्योर देम. So they completely believe on you being a person, realizing your strengths, realizing your limitations, and overcoming that. That's all to be called as a definition of life by the humanistic psychologists. Now, there are few themes on which we say that humanistic psychology is based upon. Okay, like every therapy, every theory has its own basis. Similarly, there are few themes for humanistic psychology also. And it states that the human dignity and the love of nature are the themes of humanism. They simply believe that humans can solve their problems realizing the rational thought. So, what all you have to understand is that what is going right in my life, what is going wrong in my life, अवेयरनेस डेवलप करनी है खुद को लेकर कि कैसे मैं उस गलत चीज को ठीक कर सकता हूँ एंड देन बाय योरसेल्फ यू आर केपेबल इनफ ऑफ ओवरकमिंग इश्यूज इन योर लाइफ. So it gives you a lot of independence, liberty, and also a responsible place you hold for yourself in your life. So these are called to be the themes of humanism in humanistic psychology. Okay, now could you people tell me any of the features or principles of humanistic theory if you know? I'm really pleased by the amazing responses in the chat. Thank you. As per you, what are the features of it? Unconditional positive regard. That's a nice answer. Good. Who's that? Srishti? Yes. And any other feature or principle of it if you know? It's a client centered approach, right? Yes. So the highlighting features of this approach come down to be for Carl Rogers, who is known as one of the again very common humanistic psychologists, they stated that self is a central concept for personality. तो आप देखोगे कि ह्यूमनिस्टिक थ्योरी में बार बार फोकस सेल्फ पे बहुत ज्यादा जाता है. They really talk much about your self confidence, self esteem, self efficacy because they want to again and again bring our focus on ourselves. That how are we enough in ourselves itself and we don't need anybody else, right? So they say that you in your life is the most central concept of personality. और अगर आप अपने बारे में समझ जाओगे so you have entire knowledge about your life and about your personality and you can achieve anything that you want to. So they say that self signals a key feature of all the humanistic theories, which is an emphasis on the drive towards self actualization. जैसे जैसे ये अवेयरनेस आती है, वी आर ड्राइविंग आवर सेल्व्स टूवर्ड्स सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन. Anybody, what do you mean by self actualization? It's a constant striving to realize your inherent potential. Right. So basically it means that self actualization is a stage of your life जहाँ पे पहुंचकर आपको लगता है that I have gained everything that I always wanted to. So basically that's a state of complete fulfillment कि मैं जो जो चाहता था मुझे वो सब कुछ लाइफ में मिल गया है. And now I'm completely satisfied with my life. That is called as a state of self actualization. ह्यूमनिस्टिक साइकोलॉजिस्ट के अकॉर्डिंग बहुत लोग उस स्टेज तक नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं बिकॉज दे आर नॉट कीपिंग देयर फोकस ऑन सेल्फ rather they're focusing more on the materialistic things and the outer world in life, because of which they lose the track of this process of reaching self actualization level. So, the striving towards self fulfillment is a constructive guiding force that moves each person towards their positive behavior. तो जितना हम खुद पे ध्यान देंगे, जितना हम अपने आप को समझेंगे, उतनी आसानी से हम अपने गोल्स, अपनी ड्रीम्स लाइफ में पा सकते हैं. दिस इज व्हाट वाज फोकस्ड बाय ह्यूमनिस्टिक साइकोलॉजिस्ट. Okay, now we come down to few techniques that are used by humanistic psychologists. I'm going to specially emphasize on this because mostly आपके बैचलर्स और मास्टर्स की डिग्रीज में यू आर वर्किंग मोर विद द थ्योरी. वहां पर थ्योरी पढ़ाई जाती है बट उस चीज को प्रैक्टिकली कैसे लेके जाना है वो नहीं सिखाया जाता. So considering that this is a short intro session about humanistic psychology, I'm going to explain you with few techniques. ये टेक्निक्स आपको ह्यूमनिस्टिक साइकोलॉजी के प्रिंसिपल्स अप्लाई करने में हेल्प करेंगे. Okay, so before we come down to the techniques, it is very important for us to understand this. Look at this for a moment carefully and try to understand what is happening. Can you see these major headings? Behavior, thoughts, feelings, right? So humanistic psychology says that आपके जो core beliefs life में form होते हैं, they are based on your behavior, your thoughts and your feelings. So the interaction between these three leads to your core beliefs. So this is all related to you. आप खुद को कैसे देखते हैं, आप अपना फ्यूचर कैसा देखते हैं और आप दूसरे लोगों को कैसा देखते हैं. All of this together combats the approach of humanistic psychology, and this frames your core beliefs in life. And that is the truth, right? Our life is just revolving around me and people in my life. So, how do I see myself and how do I see those other people? That's all about humanistic psychology. The more you try to struggle for the positives in everybody, the better is your self efficacy and the capacity to achieve things. Okay, so I'm going to mention few techniques which can help you in dealing with humanistic psychology and if you want to use that in your sessions tomorrow. So, the first technique is called to be the therapist listening technique. Okay, so this technique says that this is majorly for the therapist. So if you're a psychologist, अगर आप एक काउंसलर हैं या फिर अगर आप एक सोशल वर्कर हैं जो ट्रेनिंग लेके ये कर रहा है, तो पहली टेक्निक कहती है कि आपको एक्टिव लिसनिंग टेक्निक अपने क्लाइंट के साथ इम्प्लाई करनी है, which means you have to keep yourself engaged into the therapy session completely. पूरे तरीके से आपको खुद को उस सेशन में एनग्रॉस्ड रखना है, सो दैट आपका क्लाइंट जो-जो चीज़ें बोल रहा है, यू डोंट मिस इवन अ सिंगल थिंग ऑफ इट। Because it is very important to focus and understand well what your client is saying. Because they might say something very much important that you would skip. So that's why you have to listen to them very, very carefully. Also, you have to see their facial expressions. So, the more they will talk to you, the higher you have to pay your focus on their facial expressions. And we know that the basic phenomenon of humanistic therapy is that you have to keep your sessions client centered, as a lot of you mentioned that to me as well. So, client centered session का मतलब होता है that you have to listen to your client very very carefully. Number one, आपका जो सेशन होगा उसका मेजर फोकस आपके क्लाइंट के ऊपर होगा। वो क्या कह रहे हैं, कैसा फील कर रहे हैं, क्या सोच रहे हैं, इन सब चीज़ों पे आपको बहुत अच्छे से अपना ध्यान देना है। Their thoughts, their feelings, their behavior is very much important for you to pay attention towards so that you don't miss anything important being said or being unsaid by your client. So once you begin to pay complete attention towards your client, then you have to begin with the procedure of catharsis. Catharsis means that you have to help your client in emotional venting. इसका मतलब होता है कि बहुत टाइम से आपके क्लाइंट्स में अपना कुछ ना कुछ इमोशनल पेन होगा विच दे आर कैरिंग ओवर द टाइम। यू हैव टू हेल्प योर क्लाइंट टू वेंट आउट दैट इमोशनल पेन। वो जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, वो जो इमोशनल पेन है, उससे बाहर निकालने में आपको उनकी हेल्प करनी है। बिकॉज़ दैट इज़ द पाथवे टू अचीव न्यूट्रैलिटी इन लाइफ। पहले नेगेटिव से न्यूट्रल पे आएँगे, तभी पॉजिटिव की तरफ जाएँगे। So you have to give them the right space to speak about themselves, to express themselves. And this is how your catharsis session goes on. लेकिन ये तभी होता है जब हमारा फोकस क्लाइंट पे आता है। अगर आपका मेजरली फोकस अपने गोल पे या खुद पे होगा कि मैं ये समझाना चाह रहा हूँ बट क्लाइंट समझ नहीं रहा, then it's not going to work for you. So you have to keep your major focus on the client. Only then you can work as a right humanistic psychologist with the client. And the third and the most used technique by me in my sessions is called as acknowledging the power. Read the slide for a second. These are all simple counseling techniques that you can use with your clients to overcome issues depending upon the goal. आपको अपने गोल के अकॉर्डिंग अपनी टाइप ऑफ थेरेपी चूज करनी होगी। And the third one comes down to be acknowledging your power. Now, this technique is something which is very natural in life, which says that when we are having some issue in life, we feel really low and powerless, right? We feel very demotivated and we feel कि हमारी लाइफ में सब कुछ खत्म हो गया है, there is nothing good left in my life, and you feel very low. Now, this technique says that at those times of your struggle in life, you have to acknowledge your power. You have to realize how strong you are and how you can overcome these issues in your life. So, however, this therapy is focusing on the good, but जब आपके लाइफ में sad या negative situations आते हैं, as a therapist, you have to help the client to acknowledge their power. That how can they overcome the problem? So you have to give them those solutions. You have to help them to work through the situation. कभी कभी क्लाइंट को वो रास्ता नहीं दिख रहा होता जिसके थ्रू अपनी प्रॉब्लम से बाहर आ सकते हैं. So you can just help them to overcome the issue, and that will definitely help them to acknowledge their power, their strength, their confidence. And this is the third most technique that you can use in this therapy. Okay, so that was all about a brief introduction to humanistic therapy. And now I would like to know, first of all, that how do you feel about humanistic therapy? In the chat box, you can mention that to me, that you feel that it's a good approach, or how? What are your views about this approach? It's a positive approach, right? Realizing my strength, gaining confidence, very good. Overcoming issues, a simple yet effective approach. Absolutely. It's a simple approach, but it really drives you towards positivity in life. Okay, now before I inform people about the certificates that you have asked about, now this is the further program that we are having for these sessions. We are done with our four therapies: behavior therapy, family therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and humanistic approach. These sorry, we have covered. Now, tomorrow we are going to cover psychoanalysis and school counselor program. So, how to be an effective school counselor, that we are going to discuss tomorrow. So, after this, there is, yes, now there is one more very important update for all of you. Okay, before I come down to the question answer session, many of you have paid for your certificates with me, right? These six approaches that we are covering, we are issuing you the certificates also for that. So a lot of you have already paid for it, which was 50 rupees per workshop. Now, those who have paid for it, you will be receiving your certificates within 10 working days on your email ID. Listen to me very, very carefully over this point. Over your email ID, you will be receiving your certificates within 10 working days. If because of any reason you do not get your certificates, then it means that there was some fault done by you while filling that Google form. कुछ ना कुछ आपसे उस टाइम गलती हुई है जिसकी वजह से आपका सर्टिफिकेट जनरेट नहीं हो पाया है. So after 10 days, you can get back to me with the issue that, ma'am, I have not got my certificate. You have the number through the Blissful Soul group with me, and then I can get back to you with your certificate. But if you have filled the form properly with your transaction ID and everything, within 10 working days, you will get your certificate on your email. But please wait for good 7 to 10 days at least if you don't get it. Secondly, if anybody feels that, मैम मुझे सर्टिफिकेट अभी मैंने नहीं लिया था बट अब मुझे लेना है for any of these workshops that I have mentioned. So I have put the Google form link in the chat right now. I have pinned that message. तो आपको सबसे ऊपर ब्लू बार में वो मैसेज दिख रहा होगा. आप उस लिंक पे जा सकते हैं. आप अपने सर्टिफिकेट्स के लिए वहाँ अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. मेक श्योर आप वो गूगल फॉर्म अच्छे से फिल करें सो दैट यू गेट योर सर्टिफिकेट्स. And the last thing from my side before I end the session, there is a surprise which I give to all my dear attendees of this session every time. And for you, it is that I am going to post three links in the chat box right now. They are related to some different social media platforms. Your only work is that you have to quickly follow all of them and come back and write D3 to me in the chat box. जैसे यूट्यूब का होगा, so you have to subscribe it, or anything else, so you have to follow the page. You just have to simply follow them all and write D3 to me in the chat. We have exactly 2 minutes for this, and after that we'll do the question answer round. So your time starts now. Link पे बस click करना है, follow करना है, and write D3 to me. Only one lucky winner will be getting that. So just hurry up, follow them all. Make sure you're following all the platforms. YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook is there in it. Good, good, good. I can see your D3s. 1 minute left. Hurry up. Be ready with the questions after this. कुछ नहीं करना. Simply जो 3 links post करे हैं, you have to follow them all and write D3 to me once you have done that. Few seconds. Hurry up. Okay, by the time others are doing it, now if you have any queries, you can post that to me in the chat and I'll get back to you. कोई डाउट्स हैं ह्यूमनिस्टिक थेरेपी को लेके यार? Okay, I can see a few questions. First of all, I'll begin with that. By the time you can write your answers. Can we use some psychological tools? See, in humanistic therapy, or if you talk about any specific therapy, the specific techniques which are there in every therapy, you have to use those techniques. But if you want to use any tools for assessment, now that is a part of assessment. Therapy and counseling में assessment अलग से नहीं आता. That's a complete different area. So in counseling, if you know the techniques very well of every therapy, so that is enough for you to work on with it. Yes, acknowledging can be a good suggestion at times. That's okay. That's nice. Good approach. Good approach. Okay. I cannot see any more questions. Anybody else? Okay. This is a very my personal one that ma'am I've enrolled for cognitive behavior therapy, but I'm not getting the link. See, I have written that in the groups that you have with me. The events page link I will share here also. So if you want to enroll for any of the detailed programs, you can just join us over there. Let me just get to it and I'll share with you the events page. We have 4 upcoming detailed workshops. So intensive trainings in behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy. We'll be doing family therapy and the school counselor program as well. So you can join us over there. Okay, I have written that. You can go and check it. See, yes, this approach can have a short-term effect as raised by one of the participants, but it majorly works on, I would say, the efficacy of the psychologist. Okay, how well are you working with your client over it? How well are you making them realize and understand their own potential? Once they gain that potential and confidence in themselves, then they will be overcoming their milestones. बट द मेजर चैलेंजेस आपने कितने अच्छे से उनको उनकी लिमिटेशंस और माइलस्टोन समझाए हैं on which they can work. So it's completely the role of the therapist, I always say. But yes, in humanistic approach, you have to focus on your clients as well, side by side in this. Okay, people, so that's all for humanistic approach. Thank you for joining me for the day. And tomorrow we are going to have our two more approaches right here in the live. I will meet you on YouTube and then we will move forward. All right, so I'll see you there. Thank you.